for the work that Marilyn did as well. So I invited Jocelyn to join as well, because as part of the class today, you're going to have an opportunity to talk a little bit about your internship. And she was really interested in hearing about what were things that you learned in your internship. So I've now co-opted things enough. Shrimanta, you can feel free to move forward and welcome your class and all of those things. And then when you are ready, then I will bring in some of the slides that I have as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. This is a good afternoon already to 12:03. So good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to request everyone, please close your eyes and breathe deeply. Take a moment to recall a peaceful experience in your life. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I would like to request someone to do the land acknowledgement. Who would like
I
to
can
do?
go, Professor, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Millard. Yes.
Okay. Sheridan College resides on land that has been and still is the traditional territory of several indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We recognize this territory is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty and the Two-Row Wampum Treaty, which emphasize the importance of joint stewardship, peace, and respectful relationships. As an institution of higher learning, Sheridan embraces the critical role that education must play in facilitating real transformational change. We continue our collective efforts to recognize Canada's colonial history and to take steps to meaningful truth and reconciliation.
Thank you, Millard. So I would like to hand over to Dr. Osborne. Please go ahead about your presentation and all the other details.
Okay,
so this
sure.
is our, you need half an hour, an hour, how much time you need?
So we'll take, let's see, around, it will really depend on how much reflection happens, but I think we'll try to do everything in about half an hour, sorry, in about an hour. But yes. I will also say that there may be a bunch of questions, and some of those questions, because one of the things that we're going to talk about is grad schools. And I know that there will be a number of questions that people will have as well. And so, oh, Lee, how lovely to see you. It's always wonderful to see friends who are here. So I'm just going to share my screen. And this is, I'm going to look at a few things with you today. One of the things that a few students said to me and that faculty agreed with was that it might be helpful to just have a check-in with those of you who have entered into fourth year or are completing fourth year, just to kind of reconvene ourselves. And so we also thought it would be a great opportunity to just hear a little bit about your internships as well. And I can tell you that I just came from a third year class, and they were like, oh, we can't wait to hear about internships. I was talking to them about the internship town hall, Jocelyn, on the 23rd. And I'm sure that you will find some students who are willing to contribute to that as well, if you need some students to talk about their internships as well. So what I'd like to do is, of course, welcome you and say that I'm thrilled to see familiar faces, thrilled to have all of you here. We're going to do a little bit of an intro activity that's reflecting on your internship. We're going to look at just professionalism and reminding you of some of the things that we want to make sure happen within our program. and then talk about grad school applications and references. Our wonderful colleague Frizana Chase last year sat down and put down some things that would be very helpful for faculty and students in the grad school application process. And then we'll just talk about and remind you about some of the academic supports that you have moving forward. And then a little reminder about kind of social connections and and alumni. And alumni-ship is not so far away for all of you. There's another 8 months, and many of you will be walking across the stage. So, intro activity, reflecting on your internship. So I have 4 questions that I want to ask you, and you can feel free, if you'd like, to put your answers in the chat, but also to raise your hand and we can talk about it. So I tried to keep the questions. My husband always says to me, Bethany, stop asking questions about the most important thing or the most, because then it's so hard for people to answer those questions. So I tried to temper myself a little bit and just say, what is one thing that you learned about yourself during your internship? And I would love to know what one thing is that you learned about yourself during your internship. Feel free to raise your hand or to put something in the chat. Yeah, Samantha.
So my internship with the Center of Elder Research, because I did a research project, I learned that research is maybe my thing. It's not too bad, and maybe it's a skill that I want to further develop.
That is exciting. Thanks so much, Samantha. Teofikat.
Hi, Bethany. For my internship, I did at the Social Planning Council of Phil with Dr. Moanti. And one thing that I learned about myself is the leadership skills. I was able to take lead of the student that we hired for the summer in the council. So I was able to manage the project with them and lead them all the way through. So that was a skill I kind of developed, and I was fortunate to do that. Thank you.
That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, this is so nice about having these opportunities, right? Just to try things out. And one of the great benefits of internships. What about others? You don't have to have something profound to say, but I just want to know one thing you learned about yourself. Maybe what you learned about yourself is that you don't like getting up early in the morning. Possibly that was what you learned about yourself. But what is one thing? So I love that you learned that, Shelby.
Yeah, so with my internship, I got the opportunity to work with kids, and it definitely confirmed for me that I would love to work with kids and youth moving forward.
Wonderful. That's great. And so sometimes we discover a confirmation for what we're the direction that we're headed. Emma says that I think I learned that I'm extremely adaptable. I was given a number of different tasks within different roles at your nonprofit organization. Emma, that's great. And you were extremely adaptable because I think you told me last week that they hired you after after your internship. Am I right about that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So you were very successful about that. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Rana, I thought did I miss you? Did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I raised my hand. I did my internship with the Social Planning Council of Peel with Dr. Mohanty. Before I start, I think I can't do my internship because I have a baby with me. I can't work with teamwork, but after that, really, we did a very good job as a teamwork and time management. Everything was very, very good. And thank you for Dr. Mohanty a lot because really I get big experience from them.
You're welcome.
That's Rana, that's wonderful. It's exactly what we love to hear. And
yeah, because really I was so worried about my internship because I have a baby with me, and for a meeting, for a project, for many things. I think after that I feel myself confident after I finish my internship, and especially with teamwork and the projects we did. It was very good experience
Fantastic.
for me.
So good to hear. That's great. Milad.
I had the opportunity to do my internship at the Center for Elder Research as well. And something that I learned about myself is along the way, I had to revisit and make some edits to my work along the way, my research project. And under pressure, I learned that I can still organize myself and produce excellent work under pressure, even though it's overwhelming. Because I do live with mental health concerns. And regardless of that, I managed to persevere and I learned a lot along the way.
That's fantastic. Wonderful, Milad. And yeah, it wouldn't be learning if we didn't have great people that were part of the process that invited us to learn. And sometimes some of my best learning in life has been through mistakes that I made. And then I learned something about myself and about the subject based on some of those things. It sometimes can be hard to be told that you've made a mistake, but it shows real strength of character to be able to accept that as well. Huda.
Hi, Bethany. For me, I did my practicum in the organization Connect for Life. They really Connect for Life. So I deal with disabilities. I learned a lot about their needs and a lot of things, the biggest struggles in their life they face it. And, I did a lot of research to find something to support those people. Really, I found for me, it's a big experience with this organization. Maybe I learned a lot about them. I can see them in the street, in the public places, but it's okay. I feel with my field, I feel I want to support them. But now I know how to support those people, disabilities.
Wonderful.
It was good experience for me.
It was a good experience. Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
it was.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. Thank you.
And in the chat, Jay said that they did their internship at the Salvation Army and learned that I'm not sure of my direction yet, but I did learn that I'm shy, but I'm good at doing intake services and great at speaking with clients, even though I was so scared. And this opportunity helped me realize that kids, seniors, and single moms are what you're interested in. Fantastic. That's great. Jay, wonderful. KC, and then Rawa.
Hi, I did my internship with Let's Stop AIDS. One thing I learned about myself was that I like to do advocacy work through like changing policies. We did a campaign for improving sex education in Ontario, and we got petition signatures and all that fun stuff. I did an interview in Saskatchewan, so it was really fun.
Cool. That's great. So you did an interview with someone in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I did a couple interviews in Saskatchewan.
Oh, great. Did you get to go to Saskatchewan? No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to go to Saskatchewan. Wow. Casey, that's amazing. Great.
Yep.
Nice. You got some travel. That's
Yeah.
that might be a first for our internships. That's great. Wonderful. Rawa.
Yeah, good afternoon. I did my internship with Hands for Charity. They are organizing some events to welcome a newcomers family. I learned to enjoy working during the summer. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to enjoy the summer while I'm doing my internship, but I did.
That's good to know as well. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Are there any others that want to talk about what they learned about themselves through the internship this summer? All right. So thank you for everyone who shared. I'm going to move to the next question. And this is a little bit different, but what is one thing that you learned about the field during your internship? So maybe some of you have worked in the social work, the community development field in the past. Maybe you transferred into a new understanding and you're starting a new career in deciding to focus on social and community development. But what is one thing that you learned about the field during your internship? So how were you exposed to in what ways were you exposed to the field? Yeah, Casey.
The first thing I noticed, like my first week, was the fact it's very different from my previous placement, which was like direct one-on-one with youth.
Okay.
This one was more like office based, but the good thing about it is it felt like I was doing a big thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so you were looking at you were really looking at a macro perspective instead of and I would say Casey that in the SSW program we do a lot, and in human service diploma programs we do a lot of work looking at the micro and the meso. But then when you move to the degree, we're looking more about how the macro impacts the meso and the micro. And it sounds like and advocacy is very much a part of that. And I'm so glad that you had an opportunity to do that and you felt that. That must have felt
Yeah.
really exciting.
Oh yeah, I loved it, and I'm excited to go into work to find more of that.
That's great. Are you still working with them?
Yeah, I'm a volunteer now with them, and they gave me a new title and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Casey.
Thank
What
you.
about others? What did you learn about the field? Yeah, Milad.
So my originally before when I had the opportunity to do my internship at the Center for Elder Research, it was going to be unpaid. And the reason why I wanted it so badly because I wanted it to enrich my education for my grad school. Then I had I was surprised when I was given opportunity for it to be paid, and I was so driven to work and do the best that I can and the best ability that I can at the internship. One thing that I learned is to critically analyze everything you do. That's one thing that I felt was really important is and to ask the right questions.
Okay, great. And so I mean, I think that is that's really important about the field is having those opportunities and critically reflecting on things for sure. It can sometimes get you in trouble. And I speak that from my own perspective, because sometimes when I'm critical about processes, I challenge them, and that can sometimes get me into trouble. But you're absolutely right. Like one of the things that is really important is bringing that critical lens and reflection, those tools that you learned in the program and in practice into the workplace. Jocelyn, I see that you are on screen. Did you want to comment on that at all? You're welcome to jump in anytime, Jocelyn, and Srimanta as well.
I was trying to turn my volume on there.
Okay, excellent.
You can see me now. Yeah, it's such great feedback to hear from everybody. I'm excited to move forward with our new cohort of students and take this feedback, this positive feedback that I'm hearing with me. Exciting stuff, and it sounds like you were all involved in kind of really unique, diverse roles that built on the experiences you had in your previous field work, and that's fantastic. I was excited to hear about the opportunity in Saskatchewan. That's so intriguing. And the other piece about students being in paid capacities and how that kind of impacted your your perception of the work that you were doing and the motivation you had around that. I think that was just an interesting component for me to think about. So thank you for sharing all that.
Great. Thanks so much, Jocelyn. Teofakat.
I just wanted to add that during my internship, I was able at the Social Planning Council of Field, I was able to handle the recruitment aspect of the council as well. and it was a new experience for me. But one thing that we did, I wasn't the only one. We are like a group of 3, and what we did during the interviews was that as people from the social work field, we have the compassion, we have the empathy. So we made the interview like a conversation. Most of them were nervous, but we were talking to them like we're having a conversation. And almost everybody said that, like, this is like a conversation. We're so nervous, but when we came in, you guys are talking to us like friends. Even though we still have to pick, I felt like whether you are going to be picked or not, you should feel happy when you leave here. That was the mission, and that was what we did. So I feel like that was something I learned as well that I probably could do as well. So
oh, that's great. Wonderful. I love that. And it is, and I'm of the strong opinion that as we live our lives, nothing that you do is wasted, right? So even if you decide to do something that is much more macro, like looking at policy and looking at advocacy, rather than frontline delivery, service delivery, it is those things that you learned in frontline delivery that are going to inform how you see people and how you work with clients. Yeah, I love that. Emma shared with us that she learned that it takes a lot of teamwork to ensure that things get done. I really didn't realize all of the small intricacies that come with running a successful nonprofit. Yeah. I always focus on the micro, but realize that the macro side of it makes it all happen. Yeah, Emma, that's just echoing just the piece that Teofakat said as well, is that there are so many things. And one of the things when you're taking this course, and Srimanta is going to be talking to you about some of the organization of not-for-profits, but you're now going to be able to compare it to what you saw when you were in the field, and that's exciting. Samantha.
Something I kind of learned about the community we're serving, and for us, from a lot of myself, it was the older adult population. In terms of research, is kind of that power dynamic. And when we were in the center and working and interviewing some of the elders in the community, I think a big part that we noticed our supervisors and other people that worked in the Center of Elder Research is consistently checking that power imbalance and making sure that there's always kind of that equalness, especially with the older adult population, and that you might go into it with like, this is my project, this is what we got to ask, but these are people you have to take the time. You're going to meet them where they're at and consistently meet them where they're at. And I think when we do research in our class in the theory, you know, we have this gung-ho to us, and I learned that gung-ho is great, but you got to meet everybody where they're at. I think it was a very eye-opening experience for myself.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Samantha. Does anyone else want to talk about what they learned about the field through their internship? Okay. So then the next question, and I never want to start with this, but what was a challenge that you faced during the internship process? That is all the way from getting your internship to completing it. What was one challenge that you faced? And you could even tell us how you overcame it. All right, Samantha.
Oh, sorry. So this challenge, I think, I'll be very honest, I candidly have spoken to lots of students, and we all kind of had the same challenge at the beginning. It was knowing what were options to go out into. And I think whatever I apologize, I don't want to sound rude or negative, but whatever next cohort goes, having that list of ideas, I think will kind of help spark things and get things going.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. And that's definitely something really great for us. And I'm sure that Jocelyn is listening to this really well as well. That we talked with and I think you were there, Samantha, when just talking with the third year students coming in, of starting earlier in terms of having conversations and presenting some possibilities in terms of organizations. Yeah, I think we'll get better and better at that, but really appreciate your feedback. What about others? Were there challenges that you had just all the way from getting that internship process, that internship? I can tell you that some students said to me from our first year of students that it was challenging because sometimes the timelines of employers were different than their timelines. And so it was hard to wait. And that it was anxiety provoking to have to wait to figure out if this was going to be the direction that they could go in. Did any of you have similar experiences and wish that things went faster and wish that you knew things faster? I don't think, I think that's very much outside of our control, our locus of control always, but that is definitely something, even when you are applying, not for an internship, but an internship. I just noticed a typo that I had here. Then, or applying for a job, that can sometimes be frustrating as well, that that HR processes can take a long time, and that's frustrating. What other challenges did you experience? And I will not believe that no one else had any kind of challenge at all, because and so yeah, Milad.
I have to agree with Samantha on that part, just because you had a similar mindset into how we experienced the research project that we had to do. It would have been encouraging if like the other cohort would have a set guidelines on what they need to do along the way, just so that they can be encouraged and have milestones that they can follow. One challenge of mine was I always strive to do the best work possible that I can achieve. And just revisiting my work a couple of times was very anxiety provoking, because I was wondering if I was doing a good job or not. But at the end, I realized that it was all part of the process. It was all part of the process of going back and looking at what needs to be reviewed, what needs to be analyzed, what needs to be reflected on, going back to the literature. So it was all the process. I realized it was a very good and challenging experience at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you've hit that for sure. I feel that way often about challenges that end up being good in the end, but can be very, very stressful, um, as well. Um, and so some other things, I went for my interview. So Jay says, I went for my interview, got my internship right then and there, but it was hard to get around my son being home over the summer and no childcare and doing my hours. Yeah, childcare is definitely something that people have given us reflection on as well. And the hardest was realizing it was okay not to know the answer and asking for help. How many other people could identify with that? Looks like there's a lot of nods that you're getting there, Jay. And Frankie, are you volunteering to talk about a challenge?
Yes. So okay. So from when it comes to challenges from the whole internship to the school board, I felt like there wasn't fair to us. We were three people doing placement at the same place. It was like more like self-learning for us. The organization where we were doing our internship, there wasn't like any form of direction or to tell us what to do or whatever. It was everything is like whatever we learned there was like more like self-learning for us. And also we notified the school. We had a couple of meetings, but there was nothing done. So to me, I feel like it wasn't fair. Like there should be some sort of if a student go to an organization and then they feel like they are not getting enough, there should be a fair chance whereby they can look for some places else, whereby like the school allow us to stay in that organization and then do nothing. Like that's how I feel. I felt like the school wasn't fair enough. We had a meeting. I'm sure you were there too.
No,
So.
I was there. I was there for sure. And Frankie, I'm sorry to hear that nothing was done. But yeah, and I certainly made Jocelyn aware of some of the challenges that particular placement had. And I know that right now Jocelyn's really engaging in an important process of looking at what students' experiences were like, and looking at continuing to be involved and that sort of piece. Jocelyn, would you say anything about this? Was actually the one of the things that that I flagged for you, just in terms of some of the conversations that I was part of. And I know that you shared with me that you were going to be just asking some good questions around that.
Yeah, so you know, we don't know until we try new partnerships. And so certainly in this program, students have a wider scope of options in terms of where you can be involved. And we developed some new partnerships in community with agencies that we have not been partnered with before in other programs. And so there's been some amazing opportunities and some really positive experiences. And then of course, just by nature of newness, some students, like Frankie, for example, you've brought forward some very serious challenges and concerns that happened during the course of your field experience. So on our side, what we do is document and reevaluate if this is a partnership for future that we can support. And sometimes that looks like going back to the agency and debriefing and having conversations about what our expectations are for future cohorts. And sometimes that's determining that this is not an ideal internship for students to participate in future. But for regarding the piece where you mentioned that you didn't feel supported in field, I want you to know that your feedback is being heard on our side, and certainly that's something that we're going to think about moving forward in terms of how students who are experiencing a challenge or a difficulty can get access to that support, and maybe reevaluating midway through, you know, if this is working or not working, and action planning from there. It's difficult to navigate any challenges in the midst of a field experience as an intern, because you're there in a unique capacity where you're kind of a pseudo learner and employee. And you know, in previous field experiences that you've been in, you may have had the support of a field liaison or somebody more directly involved in kind of that through that partnership process. But this time, some of you described already that this is a little bit more independent, that you felt self-directed in this field experience, and that can be new and challenging. So maybe there's some supports we can provide in preparation for kind of an independent experience like this internship moving forward.
All right.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jocelyn. And Frankie, thanks for sharing that as well, because I do know that there were definitely some challenges, and that you really did, you and your fellow colleagues did really reach out to try to resolve that. And it takes a lot of strength to do that as well, especially when you're in the process of when you're a student and you don't always feel like you have a lot of power.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, Casey.
So I've got two challenges. So the first one is how repetitive the work can be. Because what I was doing is we do outreach to schools to do an educational workshop. So majority of my time was just emailing people, putting it in like a Excel sheet, who I emailed, keeping it on track and organized. It's just very repetitive, and it made me feel like this is tiring. But like by the end of it, I felt like it worked up to something great, because we ended up going to Saskatchewan, so it worked out. It was I forget the word, but it worked out good. And then the second challenge was the fact that nothing to do with them. It's just the floodings, because I had to go to Toronto on the GO train, and then next thing you know, it would flood, and I don't know if I should go into the office, because I can do it at home, but they would tell me either like last minute or something like that. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. And you know, Patian actually had a very similar comment to you, is that it can feel repetitive. And Srimanta and Jaslyn and myself, I'm sure, would also say that lots of what we do is repetitive as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely something like you just think, oh my gosh, there is a repetitive nature to some of the things that you do. So there are the things that make you very excited. And then there are the things that you think, oh gosh, the working world. And that's part of that can be like having to commute to a workplace, right? Like every day, and how tiring that is as well. So the flooding, it kind of shook things up a little bit for you.
Oh yeah.
But it
That
looked
was a
like there was
fun
some
time.
not necessarily good communication on it either.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
sure. No, good. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Patian. And Huda.
Yeah, Bethany. For me, in our organization, there is a lot of clients and there is a lot of topics we have to present to them and explain everything for the clients. So sometimes every week we have to do that. Sometimes we prepared for the presentation and PowerPoint and a lot of topics and like this. Then I prepared myself to be strong when I want to present my presentation. Then I surprised there is no client. Where are you?
Oh, so there
So
are unexpected things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes they say, we are sorry, we can't attend to this session and like this, but we have to make a research. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to do everything. That's it for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. So there's one nature that the work world can be repetitive. It can also be frustrating.
Yeah.
It is not, if you build it, they will come, doesn't necessarily mean that they will come, right? So that's another part of, you can have a great program and do a lot of work to get ready for something, and it can be so disappointing that the final outcome is not what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, yeah, because there is a lot of research you have to do it just to make your presentation good for the client and to explain everything
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but
I was
it's okay. I did a lot, but it's okay. I think 1 or 2 times I faced this, so I feel, oh my God, no, I prepared myself. That's it.
I was in the same organization as Huda with Connect for Life, and there was a lot of repetitive things that we have to do, research database for client, what are their needs. So we had to do so many of that for like weeks on end. And then we have to do posters to get clients onto the service. So there was no client interaction with us. It was just mainly the behind the computer doing researches. And we have a client that is blind and need of a stick, so we have to look up organization to fit the need for that client. So they will send us an email pertaining to, they have a client on service, this is the issue with the client, can you give us all the resources for that client? Then we also have to do a 45-minute check-in poster to kind of get it's basic. So we have to present it to see pertaining to our client, when a client is going through so many different things. So just have like a check-in to talk about the issue, maybe good, bad, in the moment. So we have to present all of our finding and what we would do in that 45-minute check-in. And then in the ending, like the last month and a half, we're doing a lot of case notes, intake, case study. So we'll get scenario, we even have to make up different scenarios for them. And then we have to dissect the scenarios. What would we do? We had to do a risk assessment, all of the needs, environment, social. It was so much work in the end. And I even told the leaders them, I said, I would rather have this kind of interaction with our classmates, but it's like for us to be there day in doing risk assessment intake based off of scenarios, and there was no really way for us to kind of connect with each other to play it out.
Yeah, yeah.
It was repetitive, and I find that in the end we weren't learning anything.
Oh, that's frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
And that's helpful. That's helpful for Jaslyn to know as well. Just as we develop these partnerships. So it sounds
For
like
sure.
you
And a
got
lot of our
to
agencies and supervisors request feedback from us, right, around what was successful in previous internships or field experiences. So I'll definitely take that back as we circle back to conversations with those supervisors. And one of the things I'm just hearing, not just from your comment, but from the group more generally, is that a lot of what the challenges that you've had in these field experiences are things that really can't be taught in a classroom, right? I mean, the documentation, the case noting, the administrative responsibilities that come in the kind of work that we do in this field, that is very onerous, and a lot of it's really important work, but it can feel repetitive and it can feel quite stressful. So we have to allot time for that as we think about developing programs and the requirements that go into preparing for these various experiences that we offer to clients. So it sounds like that was kind of a theme for many of you.
Yeah, and I find that the organization of keeping track of our hours was not properly met. I even had to say, I reach my hours, and they're like, no, you have until August 16th. And I said, once you reach 420 hours, we are finished. We're not supposed to go past it. And I even had a different tracker for my hours, apart from the school one that we have to upload every week to the drive for them. And
Right.
I even, because it calculates per week. And when I make up my hours, I will let them know I missed this hours and this is what I'm making up for. So in the end, I was past the 420. And it was when I bring it to their attention to say, okay, I am finished. My hours are in. This is how much I have. It was when she realized that I actually passed the 420. I was at 443.
Okay.
And I'm like, so what about student that's there from the beginning of May? And if you really think about it, by the end of July to beginning of August, some of them are finished their hours based if you're not missing no days. So it's like 35 days, 35 hours a week. And I'm like, yeah, she's like, oh, it didn't dawn on me that you're actually doing 5 days a week instead of 3. How do you not know every day we're checking in?
Yeah, right. No, that's a very, very valid point. And I mean, actually a very serious concern. Supervisors not aware when you're here, when you're not there, and what you're working on. So I really appreciate the feedback, and I did take note of the agency that you were at. So I'll circle back with that
Yeah,
feedback.
because I have to advocate for my hours to let them know. And then I'm like to other students, aren't you past your time as well? Did you miss a day? And they're like, no, but some of them is afraid to speak up because they don't want to feel like they're stepping on toes, or they don't want to get in trouble. But I said, you have the right to advocate for yourself, because we're in a field that we need to advocate. If we can't
And you
advocate for
do
ourselves,
have to
I'm going to
advocate.
advocate for others.
Yeah, and certainly internship is different than, a placement or some kind of other co-op or field experience you may have been in the past. It is incredibly more independent. So, advocacy is the key word here, and that early communication with supervisor around, expectations and start dates and end dates and those kind of arrangements. Students are kind of empowered to have these conversations, and the flexibility is there to manage schedules. It's unfortunate that in this case, your supervisor wasn't on the ball in terms of what was transpiring, but I've made some notes there. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And the last question is, what is one piece of, and it goes back to what Samantha said, is that it's a very helpful thing to hear from people who have previously been in internships. And so what is one piece of advice? And I'm going to invite you to keep the piece of advice short, just so that we have some other things that we want to do. And we want to give you some time with Dr. Mohanty as well. Yeah, Samantha.
I'm just going to reiterate exactly what Patty Ann said. Do not be afraid to advocate for yourself in a professional manner, obviously.
Amazing. Great. Thank you so much, Samantha. Milad.
If there's some piece of advice I can say is, regardless of any challenges or concerns you may have, just stay positive and optimistic, because one thing is at the Center for Elder Research, all our colleagues that work there were so intelligent that it was so admirable, it was so inspiring. Like, there was a lady named Isabel there. She was such a kind lady. She was so smart. And even the director was so smart that I fed off their energy. But along with the fact that it was challenging in some aspects, just stay positive and optimistic. Just try your best.
Great. Thank you so much, Milad. Other pieces of advice.
I would like to go next. I would say keep a paper trail of emails when you're communicating with your placement.
Yeah.
Don't say anything verbal because it gets lost in translation. At least you'll have like some sort of like emails to keep, like each other accountable for any issues that we have in the future, like, for future students that'll be doing their internship. That's one piece of advice I would say.
Great. I think that's very helpful practice in life as well, in your future workplace as well. It's always good to keep to have evidence of communication so that you can refer back to it.
Yes, and please write in third person. Do not write in like first person. Learn the hard way.
Don't write in first person?
Yeah, like when you're writing email, like when you're doing emails, apparently you're supposed to write them in third person, not first person. I learned the hard way.
Okay.
Because it gets lost in translation, and then it's better.
Yeah. You do need to be very careful about how you approach, and when you're not talking to someone in person. Yeah, KC.
Take advantage of the connections you're going to make, and push yourself in order to grow, because that's what we're doing here. You want to grow.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Teofakat.
Okay, I want to say take initiatives, and any opportunity that you're given, take it seriously, because you don't know what your future work will look like. So any skills that is given to you, just take it and learn it. You don't know where you're going to need it.
Yeah, great advice. Man, you guys could teach a course on internships. Dr. Mohanty.
I think for field organization perspective, I would like to share with you, because I can see both the coins, as a teacher, as an instructor here, right?
Yeah.
Also, I'm recruiting so many students from different perspective. I think this is really great discussion. So a couple of things I would like to suggest for future intern, if anybody would like to do practicum, make sure they should see the advertisement, what organization put forward, right? What skill sets you are looking for, what organization is putting in. Not necessary mission or vision, is more specific to your qualities, what you are looking for. For example, social planning, where it is organizations, but I recognize that so many students, they have already research expertise. What new things they can learn? So it is depends on the like a leader, right? What type of thing they change? For example, TK mentioned about taking the recruitment processes, because she worked with us last SSW at the council, so she understood very well about the process. So I thought better to move from research to different type of work. So she took leadership. This is one of the examples I would like to share. Second thing, during your orientation day, organization always share with you some package. Either maybe PowerPoint presentation or certain things. If you are not clear day one, it is better to not to proceed, right? You tell, I'm looking for counseling setup. I don't want to do your research organization. I think I faced some challenges in the past from different university students coming here. They thought, this is a counseling agency, right? Day one, maybe second day, they told Dr. Mohanty, this is not good fit for us. I would like to move. I think that would be clear in the beginning, not like a middle of the, your practicum or any internship. I think that may be helpful. So this is 2 cents from my side in terms of field organization.
Thank you, Professor Mohanty. And so Rawa, I saw that you had your hand up as well. Did you want to share a piece of advice?
Yes, I have a suggestion in case of preparing a presentation or a workshop. We can use a WhatsApp group to reach a specific number of people interested in this topic, or like social media platforms can help because sometimes poster alone are not enough to reach those interested people.
Great. Thanks so much, Wawa. And Frankie.
Okay, so based on my own experiences, I will also say, take your time and do your research on the organization that you intend to do your internship over there. Just don't take anything because you get frustrated that you will not get anything. Because if you are just in a hasty rush and then you don't do your research on the organization, you might get disappointed.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's very, very important. The very important advice. Thank you so much, everyone, for everything that you've shared. We could probably write a book, Jocelyn, from the things that people have shared. And we're really thankful for the time that you've spent with us, just talking about internships. Jocelyn, did you want to say anything?
I do. I really, really am so appreciative of your insights. This is going to be so beneficial for future cohorts and for supporting me with the planning and preparation ahead of our next field experience. So I just have so much appreciation for you reflecting on what has transpired and debriefing with us today. That was fantastic. And, I just as a side note, a little personal anecdote, I started here at Sheridan as a student myself and can still here 5-6 years later. And so I think that's important to know that, as we are involved in like a process here. So we all start in a learning capacity, we move forward in development our careers, and we often reflect back on the experiences we've had as learning professionals as we support others in the field. So hopefully one day I'll be working with each of you as professional supervisors supporting our students in internship wherever you land. And I hope that you'll always reflect on what worked for you in field, what didn't work for you in field, and take that with you as you support other learners in their journey in future. So again, thank you for your time and for the space to hear from all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Now we're not quite finished. I am going to just spend a little bit of time just kind of going on and just a few reminders around professionalism, even especially as you think about moving into the professional world. It's not going to be too long before all of you end up starting to look for jobs. Right? It's going to be amazing when you see how fast the whole process goes between September, and you're going to blink your eyes, and then all of a sudden it's going to be December, and then you blink your eyes again and it is February, and then so it will go very, very quickly. And so just I'm not going to go through what professionalism is, but I want a couple of things that I wanted to remind you of is that for as you think about your assignments this semester, I want to encourage you at the beginning of this semester to look at all of your courses and the deadlines for assignments, to put the dates in your calendar, and to if you need an extension based on your schedule, you reach out to your professor by email and let them know at least 1 week in advance that you're going to need extra time. And this is something that is based on what might happen if you were working on a project in the workplace. Just being aware of when things are due, and an employer is going to be much more receptive to you asking ahead of time, and to having the time that you need. Now, of course, there are going to be extenuating circumstances, and of course, there are challenges. But if you have extenuating circumstances, just communicate with your professor. I am very confident in the way that you speak to each other. We do want to make sure that every time that we're interacting with each other, we are communicating in a professional way. And I want to also encourage you to treat the classroom as a workplace. And so I want to encourage you to make sure that you've got appropriate and safe places to do your classes. I also want to encourage you to turn on your camera to participate in class. And this is not because we like to see your faces, although Shramanta and I really love seeing your faces, but it's because this is actually a professional conduct piece in the workplace that when you are looking for work, getting used to being in hybrid workplaces and having meetings that are online will be really important for you. Now, it is, you can always blur your background. There are always going to be reasons. Maybe you're making dinner for your family. Maybe you're feeling under the weather. And so those are definite reasons to not put your camera on. But I encourage you, particularly, you know what, when we're presenting something like a PowerPoint, you can only see a few faces anyway, but when we're actually in discussion, I'm going to really invite you to think about creating a culture where people can see each other's faces. So much of communication that we have goes far beyond our words. And so your professors and your fellow students being able to see you is really important. So I will never be the person who says that you must turn on your camera, because I think there are really legitimate reasons why you wouldn't put a camera on. However, I do encourage you to think about strategically turning your camera on and allowing there to be different levels of connection in the classroom space. We are, I think you have all been exhibiting really good practices in terms of online learning. You do have some group projects ahead in the year ahead, and remember that conflict is part of working with people. And this is part of learning how to work with people well, and that scheduling is really, really key in the whole process. And of course, we invite you to make sure Shrimanta and I and your other professors will provide professional recordings. And so we ask that there not be multiple recordings kind of circulating around. The other reminder, and this might seem really funny, but we're not going to share information about you with any of your family members. And there are reasons why I share this now, because I sometimes have parents reach out to me to ask how their kid who is an adult is doing in class, but we'll never share information with a family member. And I also want to just remind you that what happens or is discussed in class needs to stay in class. And that would connect with this as well. So a lot of you have shared some of the good learning that you did and the challenges that you have. And that's really great, but we need to make sure that that stays within the people who had the opportunity to hear those things as well, or people in your class who were absent. I want to remind you just about some student supports. And one of the things is, I'm not sure if you have met Tabitha in some of your classes. She's working right now, finishing off her placement actually. So her internship, doing some work around alumni coordination. And you can reach out if you'd like to be involved in planning events this coming academic year. You'd like to know a little bit about the events and opportunities post-graduation, please feel free to reach out to her, and I'll share this with Shrimanta to post after class. And I want to remind you that hopefully you've already met your embedded tutor and for this course. And please, please feel free to reach out to tutors. It's this wonderful opportunity that we have, and we've got professional tutors who can support you throughout the program. I also encourage you to check out the Academic Skills Hub as well. These are all important supports. And now I know a few, and just my one piece about program progression is, please, if you're not sure about where you're at in terms of your getting through the course, the program, you've maybe dropped a course, or you're wondering about, you're a little bit on an alternative pathway, please make sure that you have a conversation with me. If you're worried about where your breadth electives are at, please let me know, because I don't want to have a conversation with you next April and recognize that in fact you're missing something in order to be eligible to graduate. That is a hard conversation to have. And the last thing, and that I know that there are a number of you who are quite excited about this and the possibilities after graduation. I'm sad to say that we don't get these really cool hats at our graduation. This is what we've seen on TV and in movies for our whole lives, but this is actually something that is more US based, where you have these what they call mortar boards, but there is just as much enthusiasm when you are graduating. So some of you will want to go directly into the workplace, and we're really happy to support you with references. But one of the things I would say is that the more a professor knows you and has the opportunity to interact with you, which includes having your camera on, the more chance that you're going to get a better reference as well, because you will have spoken in class and shared in class, and they'll know what you look like. This is also important. So
Bethany, sorry, can I interrupt? Farzana, I'm trying to find the raise hand button forever, but I
didn't know that you were on yet. That's exciting. So, and I did tell them that the Honorable Farzana Chase did put all of this together.
Oh my gosh. No. The reason I'm buttoning in over here is, it ties into the camera piece again, right?
Right.
Think about if you had to give a reference to someone you know, right? And you've never seen the person, and how awkward it is for us as faculty members to give references for students who we've hardly seen and would barely recognize on the street if we came across them. So please consider that when you're asking us for references. If you require references, I should be able to recognize you on the street, honestly, right? If you want a good reference from me. And I think that's just something to keep in mind as you proceed with this. Thank you. And sorry again, I couldn't find the raise hand button. Thanks, Bethany.
Oh, Farzana, you can interrupt as much as you want. So Farzana actually put this together, and so I am happy for her to present it to you, but I'm also happy to keep going. What would you prefer? Why don't you just butt in whenever you'd like, Farzana?
Please go ahead, Bethany. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. So there are academic references is something that you will be asked to provide when you are in the process of applying to graduate school. And graduate programs require you to have at least 2 academic references or 1 academic reference and 1 professional reference to support your application to grad school. Typically, these references are written by your professors who have taught you fairly recently, in the past year or so, and ideally they should have taught you more than 1 course and are able to speak to your potential beyond just 1 semester. I'm just seeing that there's some comments in the chat. Okay. You're just helping Farzana out. That's excellent. Okay. So what to do and what do grad schools actually want to know from your references? They want to know about your academic performance. So performance in the course or any challenges during the course, your research and analytical skills. So evidence of critical thinking, problem solving, and research abilities. Your work ethic and reliability. So punctuality, commitment to tasks, responsiveness to feedback, willingness to learn, dependability. Your interpersonal skills and collaboration. So interactions with peers, faculty, and staff, teamwork, leadership, communication skills, ability to work effectively in diverse environments, your character and integrity. Are you honest and ethical? And do you have integrity? Your passion for the field of study, and how you compare with your peers. They always ask us to compare you to a group of peers. Once you apply to a grad school, the program will ask you for the names and the contact information of your references, often email, sometimes email and phone number. And the grad program is actually going to write directly to your references, asking them to fill in a reference form and attaching a note that elaborates on your strengths and potential for graduate school. So for Xana, how would you feel if you got a message from a grad school asking you to give a reference for a student, but they hadn't asked you first?
Not very good.
No.
You want to reach out much in advance to tell people that you're even thinking of applying and ask if they are willing to give you a reference in the first place. Because, honestly, the only reference you want is a really good one. And if the professor is not willing to give you a really good reference, you might want to look elsewhere.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for Xana. So you want a reference that is complete, so gives the grad school all of the information that they need, specific, provides examples of your ability, aptitude, or character, and enthusiastic, that your professor actually truly believes that you'll be a good candidate for grad school and communicates this. So before you ask for a reference, here are some things that you're going to do. And so Samantha, I already know that you're trying to write all of this down, but I will share this PowerPoint as well for you to for people to look at. And there may be others that are frantically trying to write these things down. So before, set the stage for a good reference. So let your professors get to know you well over the course of the semester. And it's going to seem like I'm talking about turning on your cameras a lot, but there is a reason for that. So turn on your camera, participate in class, work on feedback, do the best you can in your courses. Use opportunities to showcase your skills and aptitude outside the confines of the curriculum, and be a good classmate to your peers. Identify at least 4 professors who might be good references for you. You want to shortlist the programs that you want to apply for way ahead of the application dates. And the application dates is something that I'm going to share with you. They're often in November, December. And you want to start creating draft statements of interest for each of the programs much before the application due date. And there's a good reason for that. And when we talk about shortlisting the programs, sometimes you want to make sure that you're, covering all of your bases. And so you might decide that you want to apply to 7 or 8 graduate schools. I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's going to cost you a lot of money because each graduate school charges somewhere between $125 and $250 for the application. So you want to narrow down, shortlist those programs, and then really concentrate on doing those and looking at the fit that is for you. You want to be considerate of professors' time. So when you identify the professors who'd be a good academic reference for you, you want to understand that many students may be approaching the same professors for a reference, and that each reference takes time, and that you want us to take time doing our references. For Xana, how many reference letters did you write last year?
I don't even remember. Lots.
Yeah, lots. So I probably wrote 30 references at least. So that's a lot on top of what we're doing. So you want to make sure that you are letting professors know ahead of time. Understand that your professor is actually doing this because they really care about you and your future, but that is not part of anything that we're paid for. That's just part of us supporting you in your careers and your future considerations for grad school. So when you ask for the reference, you want to approach your professors at least 1 month before the reference letter is due. I will tell you as well that the reference letter will be due after your application is due. And you want to tell them how many schools you're requesting a reference for. You want to provide them a list of the courses that they taught you this semester and the grades you received, your resume, and a statement of interest that you're providing to the grad program. And after getting the reference, you want to thank your professors for their time and effort, keep them updated on updates from the grad school. And if you got into the program, be sure to let them know. So I'm gonna stop the sharing here, and I'm gonna just let you know a little bit about moving forward. How many of you think that you might be interested in applying to grad school? All right, so Emma, Samantha, Casey, that's great. Milad, Rawa, that's wonderful. These are great. It isn't something necessarily that you have to do right after you complete your undergrad. But it is definitely something that if you're even thinking about it, I'm going to be holding some different info sessions about grad schools this fall, and it'll happen end of September, beginning of October, because I want you to have the time that you need to keep to the timelines that we've provided for you. And I have a list of about 20 different grad schools. We have 17 students that went from our program last year into grad school, and that's very exciting for us. We'll have some of those students come in to talk to you about what grad school is like for them right now and what they wish they knew. All of those things. You see that we've got a few things going on here that we're wanting to provide you with information that will be helpful for you as well. I will send out an email that will have all of that information in it about grad schools. And know that the biggest thing for us is that we want to know for you, you need to do a little bit of work before we do the work for you if you want a really good reference, because providing us with your resume, with your statement of interest, and letting us know which courses you took with us would make it a lot easier for us to make a great reference for you. It is our privilege to be able to support you in this way. And but we also and you know, Srimanta will say the same thing, like we need time to be able to really support you well. And I am so delighted with the time that we've been able to spend. I went a little bit over Professor Mohanty, and so I want to give you the rest of the time today to talk about project management and organizational development. Frizana, you missed actually a really thoughtful, insightful, reflective time just talking about internships and things that people learned in internships. And I love everything that people shared. And those are the kinds of things that you want to think about putting into your statement of interest, right? So talking about what you're learning academically, but also professionally, and all of those things are so exciting. And so I have no doubt at all that you will all have something to say if you decide that you're going to apply to grad school. And I see there are a few comments in the chat, and so you've never felt as supported as you do in the degree program. And yeah, I'm so glad. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that that's been your experience, Milad. If you are thinking about whether you would apply to grad school, please feel free to reach out to me or to another one of your professors to talk about what some of the options are, and plan to come to hear about all of the different possibilities that exist as well as you think about moving forward. I went back to graduate school 8 years after I finished my undergrad, and I did some living. And Frizana did the same thing. No, I know you, I wasn't chastising you, Frizana. She would have absolutely been here for the whole time, but not the same pathway for everyone isn't it everyone's not going to take the same path, nor should you. There are lots of different paths that you can take. And so we're not pressuring you in any way to attend grad school. We just know that that is the pathway that some of you have expressed you'd like to go. And so we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be able to apply successfully. I am going to say goodbye, and I think Farzan and I are going to leave, and I'm going to send Dr. Mahanti the PowerPoint that I shared today, and then I'll also he'll share with me the recording, or I'll just get it myself because Dr. Mahanti and I share the same Zoom account, which is why we're always BSCD Sheridan. And thank you so much, Srimanta, for giving us this time. I know you value hearing from students. And so I'm going to stop talking and give the floor over to you and wish you all a wonderful rest of your week.
I would like to thank you, not only for this interactive session for our student. I think that's for me too, as a field supervisor. I learned a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
I would like to modify some of steps at the organization.
Yeah.
I would like to also thank you, Dr. Chase and Jesslyn. I think your feedback are really valuable. I think we need this type of interaction always. It's not just, I think end of the day, maybe after week 14, we may again meet and stuff, because one of the assignment is called reflection, right? I think we can always meet and do different type of discussion. I really appreciate your support.
Yeah, and you know what? We decided this year for the first year to try to integrate some of these connections into classes, because we know that you're all really busy. And so we thought that it would be like, we thought about which course was the best course to do it in.
Yes.
And it is the generosity of your professors that have allowed us to do that as well. So thank you so much, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Osman. We'll meet again at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, you got it. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, I would like to request everyone take maybe a 10 minutes coffee break, right? I would like to spend at least 15-20 minutes with you. Some of questions I have based on week 1. Is it okay for everyone? No reading, but I think we can meet, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, take 10 minutes coffee break, come back. Now is 1:10, you may be coming back around 1:20. Is it okay? Okay, thank you so much.
1:30 we'll be back?
Oh, yeah, 1:30, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Is it audible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, be back.
I would like to thank you, everyone, for your very, very important feedback, valuable feedback, as well as, it encouraged me to change certain things at the council, because some of feedback, for example, one of the feedback we talk about repetitive, right? Many agencies, what they do, they repeat same thing, every day and stuff like that. But at the council depends on the, leader, right? Who is the leader? How creative this person would be, right? So part of my program at the council, initial stage, I provided some template to school, to the college and other university too, right? I provided, okay, these are skill sets. These are the skill building opportunity or capacity building opportunities. Based on that, we recruit students. I recruit students from different universities. Now we have 27 students, right? You may ask how you manage, right? Depends on how creative you are, how many projects you have. I told every day I can make one project for you, right? It depends on what you want to achieve. I think it depends on the leadership too, right? Again, in non-profit, we have lots of pressure. Okay, you can't believe every day I sleep around 2 or 3 o'clock. Yesterday I slept 3 o'clock because I have lots of work load and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to think about who is your manager, where you work. Depends on what type of persons the person want to do, what project he or she has and stuff like that. Depends on manager responsibility with organization, because you are working with somebody, right? Some of I think understanding everybody should have about the organization, because I'm seeing the other side and your side too. As a student, you want to learn something. That's why you're coming to the organization, right? Again, whether that time organization has 2-3 projects or not, what are projects, whether that fit with your whatever skills you have or not. For me, I always I'm not judgmental, but I would like to watch how my students taking initiatives, right? If somebody is taking initiatives, I thought, okay, these are all taking the leadership, because we have 10 projects or 15 projects every year we do, right? I'm giving opportunities to take the leadership. I think TK mentioned about, she took a great initiative. I think I am very happy that, many of our students now taking this course, non-profit management. I think when you work with organization, again, learning this type of program is called non-profit management. You may advise, you may suggest to organization, okay, this type of format is not working out. It may be more traditional format. Most of agencies do here in PL and different here in Canada, non-profit sector, right? They don't have resources to bring new ideas, new suggestions, new resources, right? Lots of optics out there, right? I think we have to think about financial management or resources, what you have. I think in terms of your feedback, definitely I'm going to discuss with our coordinator, Dr. Osman and Jesslyn, right? Try to improve a little bit so that future students, they will be benefited, right? I really appreciate your support. Today, I'm not taking more time. I just want to check with you some of things what we discussed last week, right? I have 3 questions for you, right? Just it would be your open book question, right? I didn't prepare Kahoot, but I prepared a PowerPoint, right? I'm going to share with you. Everybody's okay for that? I will take at least 10 minutes, your time. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Everybody see my screen? Before we do that, everybody has program tutor information. I already posted on Slate, right? Whatever we are planning to discuss, I'm going to provide you direction. Sometimes you are not clear, sometimes I be busy. You can always check with program tutor. This person has a project management, I think, degree, right, at certain college, right? I think he can support you. Okay, everybody has this information. For example, one new software I would like to teach you, right? I'm ready to help you out before and after class, right? But again, you have maybe daytime or other time or evening. You can check with the person. I think he already provided his schedule. Everybody see that? Tuesday 9 to 11, Wednesday 1 to 2, Thursday 4 to 5, Friday 11 to 12. Okay, book an book an appointment and discuss with your whatever the assignment or anything you are not sure, right? You can check with him. Okay, so I have 3 questions for you. Test your knowledge based on week 1, right? So you can raise your hand or you can share with other members, or in chat you can give your answer. First question: supporting your mission with a genuine desire to help create a strong foundation for your organization. Is it true or false based on your week 1 review? Would like to share your answer? Otherwise, what you can do, write it down piece of paper, right? And end of the day, you tell me how many of you did 3 correct or 2 correct or 1 correct. That type of stuff would be helpful, right? Okay, first question related to supporting your mission. Second question I asked, it is recognized that adopting a learning orientation is essential to building and maintaining sustainable organization. True or false? Right? Write it down your answer. Then the last one, ensure that a succession planning is in place only at the professional area. Right? So this is, I also ask for true or false. So I'm going to, when you are ready, I'm going to give you answer, right? Then you can assess yourself. Okay, when you are done your answer, let me know. I'm going to give my answer. Everybody's done your answer?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So first one, I asked, what supporting your mission, this is actually true. How many of you did true? Raise your hand. Okay. So everybody see my question? It seems to me that I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I would like to encourage you to review again week 1 PowerPoint, right? Okay, let's go to the second one. You lower your hand, then I'm going to ask question, then you raise your hand, right? Second one, answer is also true. So how many of you did correct answer? Raise your hand. Okay, so out of 18, 9 students did correct answer, right? Nothing to worry, right? You will review your document, and this is open type of thing. Next week, I'll try my best to do maybe Kahoot process. Kahoot would be better for you, right? I thought we'll not get time, but we have time to discuss. So I'm going to move to my third question. Okay, ensure that a succession plan is in place only at the professional area. True or false? Answer is false. How many of you have correct answer? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, out of 18, out of 17, 8 students did a correct answer. Okay, nothing to worry. What would be your correct answer? If it is true, what would be the true answer? Anybody would like to share with me? Those who already, yes, go ahead.
So the answer for number 3 is false because you should be planning at every aspect. So it's going to be more sustainable and you'll be more successful.
That's correct. That's correct. So I think one of the slide, I think slide number 5, number 5, that article we reviewed, we talk about succession planning. We talk about both at the professional and volunteer area, right? So that is basically true answer. In this case, this is the false. Okay, I hope this discussion are really helpful for you. Next week, I'm going to discuss about the project management in community-based participatory research and how does project management in nonprofit sector look like. Okay, I just want to stop here. Anybody has any questions related to week 1? Do you have any question related to today's interactive session? Anybody has any? Yes.
I just wanted to say it was a good class. It was good to reflect on our experiences and hear everyone else's experiences. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to have that today.
Yeah, you are welcome. I think my class, I feel good that everybody is participating, interacting. I think this is very important for us as instructor, right? And I think you learned a lot from your internship where you did. I think some of members, they don't have a good experience. Nothing theory, that is the learning curve for us, right? I think anybody need any support from me personally, right? In terms of references, anything. I think many of you already took my other courses, right? I think everybody took my other course last semester.
Yep.
Okay. Anytime you can ask for the reference for your job, anything you need. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. You're welcome.
Have a good week.
You too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good
Have a
week.
good week. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, doctor.
TK, you have a couple of minutes. Yeah, hi. TK, you have a couple of minutes. TK, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you so much, everyone. TK, you can step back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.